There, it's it's something about the material. It has something to do with not chasing the material. It's as much as me as a human being. I have something I can bring to this as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe
It is you.
it's me. Yeah.
It is you. There's no one else standing there. There's no one else sitting there. There's no one else being there than you. So be you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, it's time for our second session in this series of Norman Bates from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
Yeah.
Second session. Okay, so to sum up the first session, what we did and talked about was about time and space, how, where, and when is influencing what is happening. And to not take things at a time, take one step at a time, and first just see the time, the era, the 1959, that time. How is that influencing what's happening? The time, how old you are, in this case Norman, which is also you, and how that influences, and what time of day it is. And also the space. So we are in the United States, we are in California, in Fairwale, which is a fictional town, and in a motel where you, Norman, have been living alone for the last 10 years, taking care of everything on your own, completely on your own. And this is back to time again. A couple of years ago, the highway that used to be just outside the motel, that's why the motel was built there, they moved it. So there no longer come any natural guests from just stopping from going in their cars from the somewhere. So there are hardly any guests anymore, which means that money is running out. You had some money, your mother had some money, which they built the hotel with, and we concluded that there probably is not going to be very much money left. Okay, so that's it.
That's where we are.
That's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
now we're moving on today to the word. But before that, you had an assignment with the research. So how?
Well, it's going forward. But I have a follow-up question on it.
Okay.
Like, take the taxidermy, for example.
Exactly.
You said last time you said that the research is, I mean, what should I research is, and the answer to that is, what does it give me as an actor?
Yeah.
Now, when I'm looking into it, I read a little bit on the history of taxidermy.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Does it give me anything? I mean,
no,
I don't know yet.
No.
I don't know.
Well, isn't it actually the physical, how you actually do this taxidermy?
Exactly. That is more the practical stuff on how to do it. That's more interesting.
Yes. So that's what I mean. The history of taxidermy is that's a bit far fetched.
It's not. No. So I got that out from it. Like, okay, I need to do it more practical. I think I'm actually gonna head into and try to see if I can actually do it for real. That would be really good, I think. So I'm more heading that way with my research to actually see if I can find someone who actually can help me.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. If someone can help you, or if you can find any books in the library, or if you can go to YouTube. I mean, YouTube.
I've been there, and I watched some real taxidermists do it, skin some squirrels, which is, well, it's not the most pleasant thing to watch.
No.
But what's interesting is, I found it interesting that it's very focused work. It's such a, you need to be very focused, and you need to be very, very good with your fingers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why that's interesting yet, but it's very interesting that I am so well. I'm so practical with my
Very
fingers and my
practical.
hands.
Very,
Very practical.
very practical. Yes, you are.
Hmm.
And also at the same time, you got all these books in the house. So you are
Hmm.
also an intellectual person, and you listen to music, you listen to Beethoven. So you're an intellectual person as well.
Yes, and one thing that's interesting that I found is that during this time, taxidermy in the United States wasn't a very big thing.
No.
There was a so there was a let me see the name. There was a Society of American. The Society of American Taxidermists was closed down in the by the early 20th century. So taxidermists all over the United States were practically self-taught at that time, and they were doing it at home, and that led to people. There was one taxidermist who was like the father of modern taxidermy, Carl Akeley,
Yeah. But
who
yes, that might be interesting, but you don't need really need to go into that. It's interesting that it wasn't it wasn't a common thing, and not many people did it, and there's no real place to learn it. But the people is not interesting.
no. Well, anyway, what I was anyway, I think it's interesting that it's a hard thing to do,
Yeah.
to perform. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of practice, and that I'm self-taught is interesting because that means it just says something about me that I am pretty clever.
Yeah, you're clever. You're patient, and you let things take time
Yeah,
because you have time.
I have a lot of time. Yeah,
You have a lot of time.
when I this is I have I've actually been in a room that is pretty much looks the same as Norman's parlor.
Yeah.
I have a relative. It's a couple of years ago, but I have a relative, and he's an older man, and in his staircase on the wall, he had I don't know how many birds on the wall, and I just remembered the feeling of having all these birds looking back at me.
Yeah.
You do not feel alone in that
That's true, and
in
that's it.
that place.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it's a room full of life.
Yeah.
So that might be a very good reason for
Yes.
why I do it, actually.
Not to be alone.
Yes. Then you can ask yourself, why don't I have for like a dog, for example? I don't know. Maybe that's something that will come up later.
Mm-hmm.
But why do I choose to have dead animals? Is also an interesting question.
Yeah, it is. Well, we will come to that. We will come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Anything else on the research? Which
Well, no, I'm where as I said, I'm at the point where I need to do it practical.
Yeah.
That's really it's gonna be interesting to see how
Yeah.
that's gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Now we're going to start with the story of Psycho, which is a book from 1959 by Robert Bloch, which Hitchcock read and found that he wanted immediately, almost when it came out, and found found out immediately that he wanted to do a movie on this.
Yeah, he bought every book to keep the ending a secret for the movie.
Yeah. Yes. So it was a very contemporary story, and the story was about Ed Gain, who was a man who was living. He was living in Missouri. Was it Missouri? Yeah, Wisconsin. Sorry, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was at that time a very famous serial killer.
Yeah.
And he was.
Yeah, that happened in 1957. I think.
Yeah. Now, this story, as all stories, is not sort of just one story. It's linked back to all the stories, and then it links back to the Greeks, because everything links back to the Greeks. And so there's some references here, of course, to two very famous Greeks. First, Oedipus, and the Orestes in the Oresteia.
Of course.
Yeah, the killing of the mother, and the which is one of the worst crimes in history, to kill your mother.
Matricide.
Matricide, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the ungratefulness of killing someone who's given you life. It's ungrateful, which is a big crime, universal crime, to be ungrateful. Okay, so yeah, you played Orestes.
Yeah, I've done one scene of with Orestes. Yeah.
Yeah. So how? Tell me about that.
I think it's one of the coolest thing I've done as an actor. It's very powerful. It feels it's so deep down. You really gotta get down to what the scene is all about, what the situation is all about, and it's a very scary place at the same time as it's very, very. I felt so full of life when I did it. I couldn't really focus on anything else than just being present in myself, in my body, as totalness. I was vibrating before, during, and after, because it's so intense. The material, the text, what it's all about, everything is so intense that, yeah, I couldn't do anything else than just focus on that's what was happening in my body, really, really, really deep down as a human being, the animalistic human being that we are.
Yeah, because whenever I work with Aiskelos, I love working with Aiskelos. Whenever I do, yeah, I do. I really do. I feel like I can sort of sniff where we come from and what we were thousands and thousands of years ago, back in time, before we became these polished, civilized human beings that we are at now. Before, well, we didn't have that surface, and we were just in our driving force, because this is what this is all about. This is going down to the driving forces.
Yeah, that exactly. And that is like, that's how it felt. That's the only thing that's there.
Yeah. When we start talking about driving forces, there is one thing that is the most important that we always have to bear in mind, and that is that we are pack animals, which means that the thing we fear the most is the isolation from the pack.
Yeah.
And we go back in time in history, the worst punishment for a crime was to be cast out. So that is really that. Yeah, that's it's really it's so. And I mean, you can always also have an argument that it actually is the strongest force of all, because when we are broken up with someone, a love story, or someone who we feel close to, we stop eating. So
stop eating, stop sleeping.
Stop even what?
What happened?
Hello.
Hello. Is it working?
Yeah.
Oh.
I can hear you fine.
Oh, good. What was the last thing you said?
No, I said what I said was if we break up with someone, if in a love story, or and become alone, or get isolated from people that we feel that we need to be connected with, then it's very common that we stop eating.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that happens. So because we stop eating, which means that I think this is even more basic. Be connected to someone, to feel, to not being alone. So I think that's something that we need to always bear in mind with every character. The fear of loneliness, the fear of rejection, and the fear of abandonment. And you know Tony Robbins, the motivational coach?
Yeah.
He talks about six driving forces, and there are four which are sort of the first four, which is first safety, secondly variety, significance, and love and connection. So so safety, to feel that you are safe in your environment, home. Variety, that you are the you are in power of what you can do, what you do in life. Empowerment, significance, to be part of the society and have a place in society, that people think that you are an important contribution to the society. You are allowed to sit by the campfire. You have a place there, a significance if you go back in time, that you're not outcast, that you are a part of that. And love and connection, to connect is when you have satisfied these four drives, these four needs, then you also need to grow as a human being, and you need to contribute to society. So that's something that usually comes later in time, and it's not usually, most of the time, not until you sort of come around 55, 60 that you start to think about contribution. So yeah, usually, not all the time, but usually. So okay, so these are the 6 driving forces. And awesome. Yeah, awesome, isn't it? The word is that thing that gets you up in the morning and gets you going all day, and what you think about all day, and why you do the things you do, and what the last thing you think about before you fall asleep at night. So it's the thing that keeps you wanting to carry on living, basically. Mm-hmm. And if we get down that to one word, then one simple word, then we know where everything is coming from. Everything we do in everything, if that comes like it's the root, it's the trunk of the tree, and then you have all the branches of the tree that's coming out, and that's what you see. But the thing that's at the bottom, that is the word. There is an exercise to do that. There's one of these emotional diaries, which we do, which is when we write to get from the intellect, the conscious brain, and down to the subconscious, to get into all these kinds of things that's going on inside us, which we don't really think about too often. And this is what I call the word diary, or the VW diary, which we're going to do now. Yeah?
Yeah, sure. Is it like bringing the driving force into one word? Is that what's it's all about? Okay.
What is for you?
Yeah.
Because deep down, we are all the same. We are all the same. If we go really deep down, we are all the same. Okay, so this is writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and writing, and not stop writing, not stop to think, just keep on writing, whatever comes up. Now, let's start with, what is it that Norman wants, Norman, want in this story? So then we go from what you actually do get in the end, because we get what we want. That's what we do if we're not pretend that we are a victim of circumstances, which is usually a pretense. But if we actually get what we want, so what is it that you, Norman, and now we're talking about Norman, not about mother. I want to start with Norman.
Yeah.
Come to mother later on. It's actually not until we come to embracing the darkness. So because the story is really about Norman.
Yeah.
So what do you want? What do you get in the end?
What do I get in the end? Well, the last scene in the story, mother has taken over. So it's got to be before that.
No.
I get what I want.
Well, that's what you want.
Yeah.
If that happens to you, that's what you want. On some level.
Yes, I want her to take over.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Why do you want someone to take over your life? What would be the win in that?
Yeah, what happens to me when she takes over? That's
where are you?
Exactly. Where am I? If someone else takes over my life, then I am.
You're gone.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gone. I'm dead in a way.
Yeah. I really see Norman and Marion. I see the two of you as mirrors of each other. You have such a strong commonality. You are, I mean, you're two sides. You are mirrors. You're two sides of the same coin. You both want to die. To live. We actually die to live. That's what we do.
We die to live.
Yeah.
I don't really want to die. I want to live, so I die to live.
To live, because that's checking out. I'm checking out from here to see if there is a chance that there will be a possibility for me to live in another dimension.
So I need to live.
Yeah.
And get out of this place.
Yeah, you need a ticket out.
And that's why I let her take over, so I can get out. Yeah.
Yeah, you need a ticket out of here.
Yeah.
You need to grow up. You need to be an adult. You need you're trapped in this little boy's body.
Yeah. That's what I say in the scene. We're all trapped in our private traps.
Yeah. Okay.
So I need
So you need a way out.
Need a way out.
You need to get out. So the what we're gonna write, the story you're gonna write, the emotional diary you're gonna write is I need to get out, because that's how we're gonna start. And I'm gonna take you to the exercise. So start with that. I need to get out. That's what you write in your own language. Always write in your own language.
Yeah.
Yeah, your first language. I need to get out because.
I got a picture of myself from 6th grade or something. And I need a way out of where I am right now to get back to that picture, because I was more open about myself back then, as being, starting to become a teenager and having lots of emotions and having lots of, my sexuality was way bigger back then. Being bisexual was easier back then for some reason than it is right now for me. And that is like what I need a way out of right now.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
sense of not committing to my own sexuality.
Yeah. So make that into one sentence.
One sentence. I need to. I need to get out. Basically, it's the same thing as the.
Yeah, I
That's
need
the
to get
first
out.
sentence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah. So what's the word?
The word for the one word.
So then you make this sentence into one word. So what's the word?
Well, sexuality.
Sexuality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it the word sexuality or is it sexual?
Oh. Yeah, maybe sexual actually. Yeah.
Sexual.
That's sexual. Yes. Yes, of course.
That's driving you to be
As
sexual. Because
what?
that's to be sexual. That is what's driving you, and that makes a lot of sense to me because that's the thing that you haven't been allowed to be as you had to be a little boy.
Yeah. Like, I mean, this comes from me. This comes from myself, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. We're all the
Um,
same. Deep down, on this level, deep down, we are all the same. When it comes to driving force, we are all the same.
yeah. So yeah.
So sexual.
Sexual.
Yes.
And that word is so closely connected to Norman as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good. So that's the word that we're going to use today.
Yeah.
It's something that you can keep on writing and writing. And I know you've been writing for a couple of days. It's changed, hasn't it? It's got deeper.
Yeah. The funny thing is, the first time I wrote, it was the word creativity.
Yeah, which is the same as sexuality, basically.
It's the same thing. I mean, but it's not exactly the same thing, but they're very much in common.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, creativity is sexual. It comes from the same source.
Ah, it comes from the same source.
It comes from the same source.
So it is pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it is the same thing. Okay.
Wow.
So what we're going to do now is that we are actually going to have our first go at the scene that we are going to work with.
Woo!
Yeah. Which is the scene between Norman and Marion in the parlor when you invite her in. She's just arrived, and it's been raining, and you asked her if she's hungry, and she says, and then you wanted to go ahead to take her up to the house, and then yeah, you can go on there. You go on there. What happens? I want to hear you say it. What happens?
Oh well, before I get down there.
Yeah.
Well, I make the sandwiches and the milk, and then my mother interrupts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she says that I'm not allowed to. That I shouldn't. I should. I think first of all, I think my idea is to bring Marion up to the house, but that is a big no-no. So what I do is I leave the house with the sandwiches and the milk and go down to the motel. And my mother is screaming at me that this is not okay. And then I do it anyway.
Yeah. So you take her to the office, and there inside the office there's a parlor with all the stuffed animals, birds, all the stuffed birds. Yeah. Yes.
They sit down on the sofa.
You're very kind.
It's all for you. I'm not hungry. Please go ahead. You eat like a bird.
You know, of course.
Not really. I hear that expression that one eats like a bird is really a falsity. I mean, a falsity, because birds eat a tremendous amount. I don't know anything about birds. My hobby is stuffing things, taxiing. And I guess I just rather stuff birds because, well, I hate the look of beasts when they're stuffed. Foxes and chimps. Some people even stuff dogs and cats, but I can't. I think only birds look well stuffed because they're rather passive to begin with, most of them.
Strange hobby. Curious, I mean.
Uncommon too.
I imagine so.
Not as expensive as you think. Cheap, really. Needles, thread, sawdust. The chemicals are all that cost anything.
Man should have a hobby.
It's more than a hobby. Sometimes. A hobby is supposed to pass the time, not fill it.
Is your time so empty?
No. I run the office, tend the cabins and grounds, do little chores for mother. The one she allows me I might be capable of doing.
You go out with friends?
Friends? Who needs friends? A boy's best friend is his mother. You never had an empty moment in your whole life, have you?
Only my share.
Where are you going? I don't mean to pry.
I'm looking for a private island.
Oh, what are you running away from?
Why do you ask?
Oh, no. People never run away from anything. The rain didn't last very long. You know what I think? I think that we are all in our private tracks. Clamped in them. And none of us can ever climb out. We scratch and claw, but only at the air, only at each other, and for all of it, we never budge an inch.
Sometimes we deliberately step into those traps.
I was born in mind. Don't mind it anymore.
You should mind it.
I do, but I say I do.
If anyone ever spoke to me the way I heard, the way she spoke to you, I don't think I could ever laugh again.
Well, sometimes when she talks the way to me, I like to curse her out, leave her forever, or at least defy her. But I can't. She is ill.
Well, she sounded strong.
I mean, ill. She had to raise me all by herself after my dad died. I was 5. A strain for her. Well, she didn't have to go out to work or anything. Dad left us with a little something. Anyway, a few years ago, Mother met a man, and he talked her into building this motel. He could have talked her into anything. And when, yeah, well, it was just too much for her when he died too, and the way he died. Oh, no, that's nothing to talk about when you're eating. Anyway, it was too much of a loss for my mother. She had nothing left.
Except you.
So, well, son is a poor substitute for a lover.
Why don't you go away?
What, to a private island like you?
No, not like me.
Well, it's too late for me. And besides, I mean, who'd look after her? She'd be alone up there. The fire would go out, damp and cold like a grave. When you love someone, you don't do that to them, even if you hate them. And I don't hate her. I hate what she's become. I hate the illness.
Wouldn't it be better if you put her in someplace?
An institution, a madhouse. People always call a madhouse someplace. Put her in someplace.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to sound uncaring.
What do you mean about Karen? Have you ever seen one of those places? Inside, laughing and tears and cruel eyes studying you? And my mother there. Why? Has she harmed you? She's as harmless as one of these stuffed birds.
I'm sorry, I only felt it seemed like she was harming you. I meant...
Well? You meant well? People always mean well. They cluck their thick tongues and shake their heads and suggest so very delicately that I have suggested it myself, but I hate to even think such a thing. She needs me, and it isn't as if she were a maniac, a raving thing. It's just that sometimes she goes a little mad. We all go a little mad sometimes, haven't you?
Yeah. And just one time can be enough. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Norman.
Norman.
Well, you're not going to your room already.
I'm very tired. And I have a long drive tomorrow. All the way back to Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yeah. I've stepped into a private track back there. And I want to go back and try to pull myself out. Before it's too late for me too.
Well, why don't you stay a little while just for talking?
I'd like to, but...
All right, okay. Yeah, I see you in the morning. I'll bring you breakfast. What time will you?
Very early. Dawn?
All right, Miss.
Crane.
That's it.
Good night. Okay.
Okay.
So, how was this?
Yeah. I really tried to not do anything else except focusing on the word sexual. And what I felt mostly was, I don't know why, but I felt very protective of every time I talked about mother.
Yeah.
I felt very, very protective.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Which I wasn't. I didn't. I thought it was gonna be something else about more between us, sexual. But I was feeling. Yeah, protective is the word for it. Mm.
Well,
which is interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I want you to do now is to carry on writing about this diary every day until the session.
Sure.
Until you get to the word, and that word really is deep down something that is driving you. And then you can do it every second in the story.
So you mean that if I continue this diary every day, eventually there's gonna be only one word left. Yeah. And then and then that is the word.
That is the word.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah, of course.
That's the only word it can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Until next time, session number 3, where we are going to go into you. So we're actually gonna leave Norman and talk about you. How is this about you? You will.
Yeah, yeah. Everything we've done so far. How is it linked to me?
You. And everything that we're going to do. How is that linked to you? You will. Yeah.
Yeah. Exciting. Sören Rossen.
Elisa van Riesen.
Johan Salberg.
Rock'n'roll teater.
Erik Nygård.
Pontus T. Pagler.